most entertaining evening show on radio. Adora and Ashorn on your inspiration station.
Your inspiration station. 99 FM.
In the news tonight, City of Windhoek secures 155 million Namibian dollar loan for new power substation to avoid load shedding.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening, welcome to News on One. I'm Isai Sipunga. In the headlines, Prime Minister commends Namibia for exemplary performance. NGOs and government deliberates on areas of cooperation. Calls for private sector to assist children. Namibia seeks to be carbon-free by 2029. And Business on One, Commons Corner, sports and the weather. First up, Prime Minister Sarah Guhongelo-Amadila urged Namibia leadership to ensure that diamond production generates high revenue, growth and job creation. Guhongelo-Amadila said this will improve welfare conditions and reduce poverty levels. The Prime Minister made these remarks during a courtesy visit to Namibia, a diamond marketing and sales company, this morning in the capital.
Guhongelo-Amadila, who expressed satisfaction with the country's commitment to ensure that value is added in order to get more out of its diamonds. She added that this approach will assist the country and improve the resilience of the local economy.
I am also happy to note that the view that we hold that price discovery is not to be an end in itself, but should indeed translate into better returns for our diamonds by whomever they are mined, both in terms of what we fetch when we sell the raw diamonds, and also in terms of the entire value chain development for the diamonds in the country, so that Namibians outside of the sector can also benefit significantly from what we get as a country from our diamonds.
Mines and Energy Minister Tom Alwendo said that the general concern of how citizens are benefiting from the country's natural resources should be addressed, adding that Namibia over the years has improved its image as a profitable state-owned enterprise.
There's this voice within our society that says, in fact, there's a question to say, how much are we really getting from our natural resources, including diamonds? Can we get more of this? Can we get more involved in that? And those are the right questions we should ask ourselves. About the last 3 years or so, Namibia had really improved its stature as one of the most probably profitable SOE that we have got. I think Namibia is probably among the few SOEs that are actually starting consistently paying dividends to the shareholder. As with every institution, I guess, you always start with something, and then as you evolve, you start to discover that actually there are some other things that I can do or I should do, maybe which I did not even think about when we started off. And Namibia is also in that space to say, we are established by government to actually establish the true value of our diamonds. Now that we know more or less what the value is, so what's next? And that's the next question that I think together we need to start really critically answering to say what is next after we establish that these are the valuable diamonds.
Kurongelwa Amadila noted that efforts are being made to develop human resources to ensure that as a producer of quality diamonds, there is capacity to mine and process mineral resources.
Because now you have countries that actually do not produce diamonds, but they are wealthy countries because they are able to buy our resources in raw form for next to nothing, and process it there, create jobs and income for their countries, and sell to our citizens a few who can afford to buy these products at exorbitant prices. So I think we should leverage on the availability of these resources to build the necessary capacity.
The Prime Minister further commended the company for its Namdia Foundation, which she notes makes significant investments as a corporate social investment into community and human resources development.
Swipe on it and win! Come bank with us and stand a chance to win the grand prize of an eco-friendly hybrid vehicle or one of 40 fuel vouchers worth $40,000 Namibian.
Full tank, as I believe.
To enter, simply make any purchase using your Bank Vintage Visa debit or credit card between the 1st of October 2022 and the 31st of March 2023. With your Bank Vintage Visa card in hand, let's journey together with every swipe. Visit bankvintage.com.na for more information. Protect yourself against fraud and never share your PIN. T's and C's apply. Bank Vintage, a member of Capricorn Group.
Non-governmental organizations held a workshop as they commemorate the World's NGOs Day earlier this month to review the Namibian Civic Organizations Partnership Policy and discuss ways the network within the civil society can be strengthened.
The Executive Director at Namibia Development Trust, Ronnie Dempers, said that the engagement was aimed at strengthening the existing enabling environment for NGOs and also enhancing the collaboration aspects between government and the civil society by reviewing the policy and looking at the proposed recommendations of cooperation.
Primarily, it has got two objectives. One is to look at the outcomes of the government civic partnership policy that government has developed in 2005. What has been the progress? And some findings have been made and some recommendations have been made how to improve it. And this workshop is meant to digest around the recommendations that have been made, and civil society needs to formulate its responses towards the recommendations that have been made. And all of that is aimed at also from the government side to be able to enable and strengthen the enabling environment for civil society organizations. The second part of the workshop today is to look at how can we strengthen the network within civil society, particularly the collaboration aspect. We have got already different umbrella bodies that work in different sectors. So the idea that has been floating around is how can we move towards strengthening that network. So the workshop will deliberate about that idea. Ideas around forming a non-state actors forum have been floated, and we will deeply look into how do we set this up? How can we make this sustainable? How can it work? So that is and all of this is organized as part of celebrating the NGO Day.
News on One spoke to two participants who indicated that this engagement will enhance partnership to ensure that the efforts of both parties complement each other for the well-being of the citizens.
Civic organizations are an extension of what our society needs and the needs that are not being addressed or met by other actors. And I know that government cannot do everything, and then that there are also gaps. And in that sense, I believe that civil society is very important to our country. And this year we are looking into, under the theme celebrating NGOs and the attainment of what they have done towards the national development goals. So in that spirit, I believe that their contributions are really recognized, not only in Namibia, but also at a broader scale within the international space.
And why this meeting is important is really to look at how can government and civil society work together. What is the one body doing? What is the other body doing? And we need to know each other. We need to know who is working where, who complements whose work, and who can contribute what, so that the citizens are assisted. Let's say there's an environmental catastrophe, or let's just take COVID. COVID was a health crisis, which we all experienced 2 years ago. And civil society and government came together, and private sector, and assisted the citizens to have access to health care, to have access to food, those that lost their jobs, to have access to housing, to have access to clothing. Because you cannot resolve these issues alone. You need to resolve them with your partners in the country.
Dempers concluded that civil society's efforts cannot be overlooked, adding that improving the network will enable the organization to do more for the betterment of the society and achieve their roles.
A staggering number of children with special needs were unable to secure school placement this year. The challenges are attributed to unequipped schools and institutions, a shortage of infrastructure and financial constraints.
Senior Education Officer at the Centre for Communication and Deaf Studies under the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, Lizette Beekes, says more needs to be done in order to include children with special needs into mainstream education.
There are a lot of learners with intellectual disabilities. We find that in the whole of Namibia we have 3 special schools that can cater for learners with intellectual disabilities. And which is indeed a great challenge, because where do these learners go to? So one of the things that the minister tried was then to introduce basic pre-book, for example, for those learners. So the challenge is, because we have more learners now, there are only 3 schools in the whole of Namibia, we need to add more schools. Everybody wants to have a resource school. It is very expensive to have a resource school, because it's not just the school. What about the teachers that you need, the workshops and all of that? So currently what we advise the regions is to at least start with a unit at these schools, so that we can cater for the learners closest to home.
Similarly, a Senior Education Officer at the Division for Special Programs and Schools, Regina Hausiku, added that they are working to expand their programs that cater for children with special needs to other regions.
The idea is we do not want to separate the learners from their support system, like taking them all the way from Katima or Rundu in order for them to come to school in Windhoek. For us to address that, we have been thinking and trying to collaborate with the regions, advising them that they need to establish learning support classes and units.
Carmen de Villiers, the principal of Integrate Learning Solutions, a private institution that caters for children with special needs, believes the only way to combat the educational crisis is for the private sector and the government to partner in writing specialized training programs, upgrading equipment, and ensuring resources are available to include all diversities in the education system.
I think the only solution would be to create PPPs, which is public-private partnerships, where we collaborate with the ministry in training staff, and then possibly looking at setting up units at the current government schools that we have in the country and in all the regions, and then train those staff to specifically work with children with disabilities and special education in that region, because that is the only way I can see how we can resolve that problem. If we can take the children in that region and set up a special unit at the school that is already in existence and train the teachers, we can start to resolve some of the issues that these children are unable to get the education that they deserve.
Despite the continued efforts by the government and the private sector, parents feel that it is costly to enroll children at these facilities. Hence, a parent with a son with autism, Victor Felas, suggests special needs schools should be prioritized.
If there was, say, an institution that is able to help kids with special needs, and it's not really at a very high cost, that disability grant can come in handy. And probably even say, for instance, maybe like the Minister of Education can also come on board and say, okay, fine, look, we have this type of schools that cater for special needs, and for as limited amount of fee, you can enroll your child into these schools and stuff.
Families with children with special needs have little prospects for their child's future unless inclusion becomes the focal point. Children will suffer the consequences of the country's inability to successfully integrate neurodiversity in the current education system. It would seem that public-private partnerships would have to be part of the solution.
Enjoy these fantastic mid-month savings only at Clicks until the 22nd of March. Save 20% on Pampers Premium Care Pants or Disposable Nappies Value Pack. Buy Oh So Heavenly Body Cream, 2 for $75. And buy Shield Roll-On, 3 for $63. Or save 30% on Clicks Extreme Power Thick Bleach or Dishwashing Liquid. Clicks. Feel good. Pay less.
Namibia signed the Kigali Agreement in 2018 to fully decarbonize the country by 2029. The founder of the Heat, Ventilation and Cooling Association of Namibia, Parastus Napolo, explained that climate change is direct proof that global warming is real. Therefore, HVAC is hosting a conference on Tuesday, the 14th of March, to create awareness on how and why decarbonization is crucial to the Namibian nation and SADC member states.
HVAC Namibia is a refrigeration company founded in 2020 that supplies ozone-friendly fridges alongside servicing and repairing refrigeration units, heating and cooling equipment. Nepolo explained that the public needs to be educated on which machinery is safe for the environment and leaves no carbon footprint in the atmosphere. He explained that the upcoming conference will bring together stakeholders with expertise in environmental and atmospheric sciences who will share how the ordinary citizen can make choices that will help decarbonize the nation.
Yes, we are actually preparing the very important conference, the first of the kind in SADC. That is called Decarbonizing Conference, Namibia. We actually focus on aiming to decarbonize the sector, especially the refrigeration and air conditioning sector. That conference will take place on the 14th of March 2023. That will be next Tuesday. The reason why we felt this conference is very important, and we feel it's a good start to decarbonize the whole SADC in terms of refrigeration and air conditioning sector. We want our sector to be green. We want our sector to be recognized as a free ozone destruction sector. Therefore, with this conference, we are hosting it so that at least the public must be educated. After this conference, all the stakeholders will know the risk we are running as a region when we are not decarbonizing the sector.
Nepolo went on to say that after the Efunja in northern Namibia, there are currently pans filled with water, but at the same time, the Mahangu fields are dry. He said it is basically a mixture of a flood and a drought at the same time, which is more proof of global warming.
The problem is the innocent entrepreneurs that want to sell those equipments. They don't know about what is carbon, what is carbon versus the equipment. We need to educate them. This conference, after this conference, we will then going to implement the policies of the government, because remember, Namibia is a signatory to Montreal Protocol, or rather Kigali Amendment Protocol. We are the signatory. We have agreed that 2029 we must be a free carbon nation in terms of HVAC or refrigeration and air conditioning. Now, when we are a signatory to that, we need to comply. But, compliance need implementer. And the HVAC Association is the implementer, while the government is a policymaker.
Nepolo said the stakeholders at the conference will include representatives from Namibia Revenue Agency, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Millennium Refrigeration and Electrical Services, and various sponsors that contributed to make the event possible.
Got your feel-good vibes.
99 FM.
Welcome to Business on One. The recently elected Moses Garweb constituency councillor Stephanus Ndengu visited his former employer Almond Diamonds in Windhoek Prosperita, requesting that the company consider employing the youth from his area should an opportunity arise.
The Moses Garweb constituency councillor Stephanus Ndengu led a delegation of members from the Constituency Development Committee (CDC) that visited Almond Diamond Cutting and Polishing in Prosperita, Windhoek today to discuss opportunities that the company can play in uplifting communities, including employment creation. Ndengu, who was employed as a diamond polisher, stated that he is concerned about the high youth unemployment in his constituency.
We want the companies having a social corporate responsibility policy. So we want the company to help our people in any means of help, with any means of assistance. So, and also the other part that we discuss is about the job opportunity. We talk about it since that I have with many young youth that they are not employed. So we talk about that if there is any opportunity in the long run, they can also take some other youth from my constituency. That's the purpose. That's why I was visiting them here today.
Almond Diamonds Namibia is the only company that cuts and polishes the crown of light diamond in the country. Director of Administration Marco Teixeira stated it takes experts to polish this diamond based on the number faceted it has.
We are doing now. It takes a very good polisher to polish our type of stone. You cannot be an average polisher to polish the crown of light because of the amount of facets that the diamond has. You need to have really excellent skills to polish our diamond. I believe Mr. Dengu was here polishing it. He knows that it's a challenge.
Yes, it's a challenge
to polish the crown of light.
The diamond company exports the polished diamonds to New York, where the stock control adds them to the system and grades them according to cut, color, and carat weight.
That is all we have for you. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages for more on the business front.
Temperature Restaurant and Lounge Public Relations Officer Rusa Shikoha recommended that government come up with a grant to help unemployed youth start their own businesses. Shikoha expressed shock that more than 2,000 young people showed up for 16 job interviews at their establishment in Commersdal Windhoek last week. Sylvia described the situation as an emergency and wants funds to be set aside. Caroline said unemployment is a big concern and wants something to be done. Nina Mito said meanwhile someone proposed reducing public workforce. Seeing this unfold on Friday reminded Bays to be grateful for the little he has. Anatolia said the situation is much worse at teaching post interviews. And that's it from Comments Corner. Please continue engaging with us on our stories for broadcast on News on One.
This is the drink Dale had when he tried bonding with his future father-in-law.
I'm gonna go get some wood.
This is Dale finding a cliff. This is Dale's new look. This is Dale finding bees, making his way up a cliff. This is a dart.
Dale?
Welcome to the family, Dale Tops, where great stories start. Not for persons under the age of 18.
And in sports news, Tura Magic Football Club striker Simon Elago says that he is aiming to make the Tafalaga Brave Warriors final squad ahead of the Cameroon clash next weekend. The national football team is expected to select 23 players who will represent Namibia against the West African country for the AFCON 2023 qualifiers game.
Simon Elago of Tura Magic is hoping to make the Tafalaga Brave Warriors final squad that will face Cameroon in the AFCON 2023 qualifiers game next week Wednesday. Elago told Sport on One that the selected 40-man squad is doing well. However, the newly introduced players need more experience in order to make it to the final selection.
This is my first call-up. The squad is okay. Need a bit of experience for us newcomers.
In addition, Elago said that he is working hard towards a few tactics that he needs in order to make the final selection.
I'm working hard, eh? I think if I can elevate my level of aggression and tactical positioning, I can make the squad. So I'm looking forward to it.
Head coach of the Tafalaga Brave Warriors, Colin Benjamin, told Sport on One that the team's training preparations are going according to plan.
All in all, I think it was a good one. One has a better understanding, a better perspective on our players, and I have to say that they are all very fit. We didn't have any, except for one injury that we had. All of them went through all the sessions, so I'm really, really happy with that part.
Tafalaga Brave Warriors head coach Colin Benjamin is expected to make the final selection at the end of this week.
That's all the sports news we have for you. Please stay tuned for the weather forecast. And that brings us to the end of tonight's